The Chicago Bulls took a loss last night versus the Toronto Raptors, but that is not what's on the docket today. It is more so about Jaden Ivey. He was benched and did not play in yesterday's game. He had some telling comments, and I have some comments of my own. And plus, Montes Buzelis off to a bad start after making some bold statements. Y'all know we gonna talk about it, break it all down, but you gotta hear the music first. Cognac, gang. Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down for today's daily episode. So if you're tuned in, ready to talk Bulls basketball, even when they give you a crazy headache, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We going on and we marching on to that 10K. So don't freeload on your boy. Just go ahead and show me a little love. It take 2 seconds. Like, subscribe. And go ahead and comment. It helps the algorithm, as some people say. But nonetheless, the Chicago Bulls, they took a loss yesterday versus the Toronto Raptors in the game that it had its ups and downs. It started off rough. It got a little bit competitive. Then it was rough again. And then the Bulls had an opportunity to actually win the game. And I was like, hold on, what? But nonetheless, the storyline coming out of this is Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey was benched, received a DNP from the fill-in coach or the interim coach, if you want to call it that, in Wes Unseld. He was in charge while Billy Donovan was taking care of his family affairs with the passing of his father. So we send, prayers up to that. But then ultimately, Wes Unseld, why wasn't Jaden Ivey in the game? Now, Jaden Ivey had a number of things that he said throughout this game, right? After this game, and it was a lengthy comment. There are videos circling around on social media that you can go out and check out. But I pulled a few of the comments, not just a few pieces of the total interview post-game, and just want to share it with you all because it's just absolutely crazy to me on what was said. So Jaden Ivey said this: I've been dealing with knee soreness. I'm sure people can call it out. I'm not the same player I used to be. That's why. I'm not the J.I. I used to be. The old J.I. is dead. I'm alive in Christ no matter what the basketball setting is. No matter how many DMPs, how many points I score, those things are a temporary thing. Jesus is eternal. I'm not going to get religious on here. I'm not going to go out there and tell people what they should believe in, but I rock with the comment wholeheartedly. But I will say this: why does this man sound defeated? Why in just 2 weeks with the Chicago Bulls does this man sound defeated when it comes to his basketball situation? It's all I want to know. I'm not questioning the man. I'm not questioning him as a man. I'm not questioning him for having faith in his religion. I'm not going down that route. I just want to know, are the Bulls this bad to where they killing people pride and joy in basketball? That's all I want to know. Are we that much of a terrible organization to where guys are seemingly defeated when it comes to basketball? Again, I respect the comments that came from Jaden Ivey. I wholeheartedly believe that you should have some type of thing that you can follow and believe in, whatever or whoever that is, or whatever. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody here. I want to tread lightly. It's all about basketball, though, for me on this show, at least right now. Why does my man sound defeated? Because here's my thoughts. What do you mean Colin Sexton gets more minutes than Jaden Ivey. Anthony Simons, you can understand it a little bit. I understand that Trey Jones was making this comeback, but did we not see Colin Sexton into this game like a man that was playing Crash Bandicoot in the flesh? What was the point of going out there and getting Jaden Ivey? Now, one could argue and say, hey, Billy Donovan is not here. Wes Elson Jr. is just doing what feels comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Not really trying to get in the weeds of everything. Blah, blah, blah. Cool. But I know next game on Saturday, Jaden Ivey better be receiving some minutes. I'm not even going to lie to you. Colin Sexton is not the future of the Chicago Bulls. To be quite frank with you, Anthony Simons more than likely will not be a part of the Chicago Bulls next season, at least in my prediction. If you're going to have Jaden Ivey on this team, you need to be trying to figure out how can he line up next to Josh Giddey while Josh Giddey is playing. That should be the sole purpose of having and making these trades. Not to just make all these trades and allow everybody to go. You should be looking to see if somebody could remain with the franchise, i.e. young players like Rob Dillingham, who received about 10 minutes last night, and Jaden Ivey, who was benched. We got to figure this out. And this is what I talk about when we talk about alignment in good organizations. From the top, where the owner sits, all the way down to player 15, 25, 53, 54, however many players on the damn team need to be in unison when it comes to what is being or what the objective is for the season, especially when things change. Nobody told Wes Unseld Jr. to give Jaden Ivey minutes. Nobody told him that. That is crazy to me. Now, I could argue, and it is a fair argument if somebody else says this as well. What is he supposed to do with all these damn guards? Fair enough. Well, you want to know what I would say in a rebuttal. The rebuttal will be sit Colin Sexton because he's not the future with Chicago Bulls. I'm sorry. I don't know why the Chicago Bulls didn't just buy him out, let him go, walk, do whatever you had to do to bring in somebody else, or just allow the young guys who has a potential to stick around on the basketball team to play. How are you going to figure out if Jaden Ivey can somehow reach that level that he was at before injury if he's not playing? And I'm going back to the original point. Why does my man sound defeated? Why does he sound defeated? I don't get it one bit. The Chicago Bulls, they have to do a better job. Now, it is just one game after the All-Star break, so I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to relax a little bit. Just a titty bit. Titty? Y'all get the point. Shout out to Big Kev for talking about the, nonetheless, we move on. But Jaden Ivey needs to be on the basketball court. Guys like Rob Dillingham needs to be on the basketball court. For the big man, I understand it wholeheartedly to where you're playing Nick Richards, you're playing Jalen Smith, you're playing Buzelis. That's all understandable. But Colin Sexton, it's no shade to him. But those 15 minutes could have been given to Jaden Ivey. Not even going to lie to you. Especially after how he started the game. Okay, if you wanted to try out Colin Sexton for a couple minutes and then you see how he started the game, you ain't got it tonight, buddy. You ain't got it tonight, buddy. And I don't give a damn how many points he scored. I really don't care. He scored 11 points. Cool, fine, dandy. Thank you. But the way you started that game, it was a bunch of turnovers and a bunch of bonehead plays. Real talk. It was crazy. It was crazy if you watch last night's game. Let me know how y'all feeling about that, because I solely believe the Chicago Bulls should be prioritizing young players to play in basketball games, and that comes with Jaden Ivey and Rob Dillingham. If we gonna sit here and go through this crappy basketball and watch the Chicago Bulls quote-unquote tank, they need to be playing. Facts. Let me know how y'all feel about it, though. But hey, now we move on to Montes Buzelis. My man's Montes Buzelis had some interesting comments coming out of All-Star break. Get my little Southern twang on, you know? Montes Buzelis had some interesting comments coming out of All-Star break. Montes Buzelis, he had sayings of saying, hey, I want to play on the Sunday's game. That's the actual All-Star game. I'm going to work to exhaustion to make sure I get there. I want to come out and be a better vocal leader. Cool. I'm with all of it. But when you talk and you make statements, you have to have actions that back it up. Now, if I come on here and I say, hey, or go and tell my wife, I'm going to go buy her a new chain, and I don't show up with the chain for 2 weeks, you don't think that woman going to ask where the chain at? If I say, baby, we going to go out there and go get a nice dinner Friday night, and Friday coming, I say, no, I'm finna kick my feet up on the couch. You think that's going to be a happy woman? So you can say stuff that sound really, really good. But if you don't back it up with the actions, we got to scratch our head, touch our waves a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And say, where are the actions behind the statements? Now, I will say this. It is a bit too early to go out there and just completely castigate Montes Buzelis wholeheartedly. Because I believe Saturday night in their next game, my man's Montes Buzelis is going to come to play. But last night was not a good start. I'm going to just say that. I love Montes Buzelis. I'm not giving up on Montes Buzelis, so don't go out there and try to twist my words for the people that just be trying to act off and go crazy over a statement and, you know, holding players accountable or just critiquing one game. Relax. It's just one game. I admit it's just one game. The Bulls have 26 games left. I know that. Let's just be real, though. You can't make statements like that and come out and start like that. 31 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 7 from the 3, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 turnovers. Not good enough from a guy that wants to be the vocal leader of the locker room or wants to see himself enter an all-star game. I'll speak for myself. When Montes Buzelis into the league, I said, oh, shit, this kid got game. He could be X, Y, Z, da. I tempered it. I said, I'm going to allow the young man to grow at his own pace. But during that entire time, Montes Buzelis has put out plenty of statements. I talk about how great he wants to be, how hard of a worker he wants to be, how he wants to be most improved player, how he wants to go out there and make the all-star game, etc., etc., etc. So I'm not putting the pressure on him. I'm just holding him to the things that he's telling us. That's fair. Now, we did have some conversations last night on the live call to where some people, and I'm not going to argue with anything, that believes that Montes Buzelis has to show up more. I agree with that point. Or Montes Buzelis is just not the guy that the Bulls should build around. I believe it's still too early to make that statement. Just my opinion. If you have something else, I'm not going to argue with you at that moment in time. But there was a great point that came out and was like, okay, Ayo Dosunmu in year 1, we was like, bet. Ayo Dosunmu in year 2, we all can agree, was not his best year. We all agreed on that. So this could be the same thing that could be happening for Montes Buzelis. I'm going to allow the young fella to go out there and grow. He's going to go through some growing pains. He's going to be inconsistent at times. But when you make statements, we need actions. I got to talk about my wife again, y'all. I got to talk about my wife again. Let me know. I'm just saying. And here's outside of the stats. I like to tell y'all the stats, but I like to also tell you all what I see. It's the look at the stats test, and it's the eye test. The eye test tells me Monty Buzelis got to hit that weight room. I understand you want to jump in the, I ain't going to go down that road. I'm going to just let it rock. We're going to just shift past that. Get in the weight room. Because yesterday, with those big forwards and all those guys that Monty Buzelis was guarding yesterday, the Brandon Ingrams, et cetera, they was moving him out the way. Or he just couldn't keep up. Did you have Italian beefs over All-Star break? I'm about to go get me one later today. I ain't going to hold you now. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, you got to be able to hang with some of those players that you're going to be guarding. And he was getting pushed out the way. He was trying to drive to the basket, couldn't get to the basket. He loves that little scoop move to where he, try to scoop through two defenders. A lot of the times I question why, but sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. So I want Monty Buzelis to work on a counter move. When you scoop, don't just try to scoop through the person. They cut you off, be able to pivot and go the other way. And maybe a floater, maybe a jump shot, maybe something like that. A counter move. You know what I mean? It's easier said than done, but it can be done. So those are some of the things that I've seen. And again, it's not to go out there and kill a young man. But when you make the statements and you tell us what you want to do, I can only hold you to what you're telling me. If you just say, if you just want to, here you go. If you just want to be regular, like a Patrick Williams, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. We'll take your 9-4 and keep going. Everybody know Patrick Williams is good for 9 points and 4 rebounds. Everybody. And at this point in his career, we cool with it. Most of us know he ain't going over that. But you're telling us you want to be an all-star. You're telling us that you want to be most improved player. Can you get to those levels? Absolutely. I'm not counting you out. But if you speak, you got to back it up with the actions. That's all I'm saying. And it is one game. I want to make sure that's clear. It is one game. It is not to say he's going to be trash for the remainder of the season. But coming at it before this game last night, I heard I want to make it to the All-Star game. So I got happy. I got happy. I thought Monty Buzelis was about to come out there and drop 20 on him. Monty Buzelis came out and dropped 4. It is not the end-all, be-all, but it is something I'm a little disappointed in, bro. That's all I'm saying. I'm a bit disappointed because I thought versus Toronto Raptors, you coming out of All-Star break, you just got yourself in the Rising Stars game, you making statements like this, you about to go out there and, have a strong start and strong push through the last 26 games. Now, this is just a starting point. Last time, this is just the starting point. Maybe 4 points is just the floor. Let's see where we go from here. I'm not out on you, Modest. I am not out on Modest after one game. To me, that's ridiculous. But what I'm saying is, if you talk, you got to walk behind the talk. That's all I'm saying. But hey, y'all let me know how y'all feeling about that, because that is it for today's show. But hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of Shy Bulls Podcast. Before you get up out of here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. More content on the way, more live calls on the way, more post games on the way. Make sure you lock in by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Make sure you let us know your comments and thoughts down below. Make sure you always try to see red. And y'all already know, I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Peace.
Cognac. Gang.